Welcome back to the channel. My name is Adam Smith, and today we continue the showcase for Slay the Spire, the board game from Contention Games. This is going to be the finale for Act number 2, and we left things off in part number 1 of Act 2, and I threw it back to you guys to ask you whether we should go for a general encounter or an elite encounter, and after the voting that came back from the Discord, as well as the YouTube community tab, and also inside the video comments, the elite encounter was the most popular. Now, for those of you that have not checked out the prior videos released for this showcase, I'll put a link to it in the top right-hand corner right now, and I also agree with the community's overall voting that the Elite is likely the best option and has the best rewards attached to it so long as I survive. So now let's find out which Elite I'm going up against. This Elite is called the Taskmaster and does have a summon down here of a blue slaver and red slaver per player. So he's brought in some friends, and these slavers, blue and red, will be controlled by a die roll. Going into this combat, we have our 3 energy, block at 0, and our HP is at 8. Let's draw up our 5 cards and find out what our starting hand looks like. We got Burning Pact, we have Blood for Blood, we have Seeing Red, Double Tap, and finally Heavy Blade. That is a pretty intense hand. Let's go ahead and roll the die, find out how things go for us. We got ourselves a 6. I like it. This allows me to trigger a die relic ability, and we now know what the enemies will be doing. They'll be focusing on the bottom row. So this one over here will be throwing a 2-hit against this, as well as a Daze Condition. 2-hit and Daze Condition for both of those two. I'm going to trigger the Stone Calendar for 4 damage, throwing it on the blue saber, dropping from 10 to 6. Next, let's go ahead and play Seeing Red. This one's going to cost 1 energy, but give us 2 back, which is great. So really, it bumps us up by 1, and this card is exhausted. Next up, I'm going to play Burning Pact. This one is going to cost 1. It's going to allow me to exhaust 1 card in our hand to draw 2 cards, which is nice. So we'll go ahead and take a 1 hit there. So this card is going to be discarded later on, but I'm going to go ahead and exhaust this card from our hand. Blood for Blood. Not a good time to get this one because we haven't lost any damage so far. Otherwise, this card would be really powerful. Plus, it actually costs quite a bit. So we'll put this one in the exhaust pile for now, allowing me to draw 2 cards up. Let's see what we get. Got a Strike, hopefully a 0-cost card. We did not get it. That's okay, I still think I have what I need in order to do something special here, so we're going to go ahead and play Double Tap next. This is going to cost 1 energy. So this turn, the next attack is played twice. We're going to go ahead right now and spend 2 energy to do Heavy Blade, which is going to do just this generic attack of 3, but it's done twice, so it's 6 damage. I really wish I had some strength at this point, but 6 is still enough to knock out the blue saver completely, which is awesome. One final thing I'll throw into the equation is I'm going to use my Ninja Scroll right now. This is going to be allowed once per combat to do a single hit twice. You treat these as 0-cost attacks. So I'm going to do 1 hit to the Red Slaver here, dropping it to 9, and then 1 hit against the Taskmaster. The HP for it with 1 player, as I'm playing solo, is 13, so it's going to drop down to 12. We go into the enemy turn. The enemy's going to throw its attacks at us, so this Taskmaster is going to be hitting everybody, but again, it's just me playing solo, so I don't have to worry about that first symbol, but I'm getting 1 hit right now, which I have 0 blocks, so I'm taking that hit down to 7 now on my health, and it's going to strengthen itself, which is not good news. And based on the die result being 6, this Red Slaver left in play is going to do 2 hits against me and a Daze Condition card going into my deck. So not a great turn for me as I didn't have much defense, so I took a lot of hits. I dropped myself from 8 down to 5 overall, which is not so good. We're now going into a brand new turn, so we're going to reset our energy back up to 3. Our block is at 0. Let's draw our 5 cards and see what we get. We got ourselves, of course, the card that we just gained went on top of the draw pile, in case you're wondering where it went. There it is. And then the next card up is a Defend. We could have used that last time. Strike, and then after that, another Strike, and finally, Rage. Time to roll that die and find out what we get this time around. Let's see, we got ourselves a 6 yet again. That's pretty sweet. I've chosen to use the Stone Calendar yet again, dealing 4 damage, this time to the Red Slaver, knocking it from 9 down to 5. It's probably a good time as any to use Rage. It costs me absolutely nothing, and for every attack card in my hand, I'm going to gain 1 block. And I've got 2 attack cards in hand. I have 2 strikes, so that's going to bump my block up by 2. I got some basic cards to use. We'll go ahead with a single strike, another single strike, and a defend. I'll put both the strike damage here on the red slaver, dropping it down to 3. That's going to cost me 2 for that one, and then the defend will cost me another, bringing my block up to 3. That's going to do it. All the cards are discarded. The Day's Condition card is up here in the pile where it originally came from. Now let's move into the enemy turn. The enemy is going to be attacking me this time with a little bit of strength, so it's going to be hitting me for 2. So the Taskmaster's throwing 2 hits at me. I removed 2 block of the 3 I had, so I've got 1 block remaining, and also it's going to bump up in strength. So it's got 2 strength tokens now going into the next round. Not good. Red Slaver's going next, and this one's going to be doing its bottom row yet again. So 2 more hits, but I block 1 of it, so 1 gets through, knocking my HP down to 4, and another one of these wonderful Day's Condition cards going on top of my deck. All right, here's hoping that this round we can take out the Red Slaver and start chipping away at the Taskmaster. So at this point, we've reset our energy to 3, blocks at 0. Let's draw up our 5 cards and see what we have. We know the first one is a dud. Then we got Strike. Next up after that, we got Sentinel. And after that, we have Pummel Strike. And finally, we have Bash. Now let's roll the die. And so far, I've rolled 6 every single time. So let's see if we can keep that up because it's been pretty handy. Oh, super close. We got a 5 this time. That is good because we could either go with, well, first off, the loaded die here is going to provide us with a block, so that's nice. And the pen nib is going to activate now as a die relic and allow me to place a vulnerable token. I'm choosing to place on the Taskmaster to get the best bang for buck, as I'm hoping to just knock out the Red Slaver with a pretty simple attack. Now at this point, I'm really hoping to take out the Red Slaver, but I don't have any low-cost cards in my hand, so I think what I'm going to do is try to drop some cards to help me out. So I'm going to go ahead right now and spend 1 energy in order to do 2 attack and be able to draw 2 cards. So we'll drop our energy from 3 to 2. We're going to throw the 2 attack likely on the Red Slaver, so it'll drop it down to 1, making it just on the doorstep of being able to be taken out. We'll drop 2 cards, see what we get. We got Seeing Red, that's a good one to get, and the next one is Defend. Let's definitely use Seeing Red. It's going to cost us 1 energy. This will allow us to bring it back up 2, which gives us back to 3. This goes in the exhaust pile like so. Next up, we'll go ahead and use a Strike for 1, which will drop us down to 2. The 1 damage is enough to take out the Red Slaver, so we'll flip this one over. That's awesome. And last but not least, on the defense side, we're going to go ahead and spend this one here for 1 energy. This is going to allow me to gain 2. So we're going to go ahead and jump our block up, and actually our block should have been at 0, if I'm not mistaken. So that's going to go up to 2. I think I forgot to reset that from the prior round, so I'm not going to take advantage of that. Oh, actually, hold on a second. No, I got the 1 from the loaded die. My mistake. So I didn't make a mistake in the prior round. I just forgot that I had 1 to start. So I'm gaining 2 right now, which is wonderful because that's a total of 3. And that's exactly what this thing's going to be throwing at me. So we're good there. And honestly, that's going to do it. I don't have anything else I really need to pull off right now because as the enemy tries to attack me with its 3, it's going to simply just get all blocked. As you can see, this Taskmaster is getting stronger and stronger, so I'm hoping that vulnerable token can be put to good use in this coming round. Going into the next round, we'll go ahead and reset our energy back to 3. Block is at 0. We're good there. Let's drop 5 cards and hope for the best. We got ourselves a Strike for 2. We got a Inflame. That's a nice one to have. Anger. That's a nice 0 card to have. Spot Weakness. And finally, Ghostly Armor. Let's roll the die and see what happens. Do we get anything? A 1. Finally, something bad happens to us on the die, so that is not good. Now, I'm in a tough spot right now because this enemy is going to be throwing 4 damage at me, and I only have 4 health remaining. So I am in a tight spot right now, and I need to make sure that I get some defense in on this. So in order to make sure I do, let's be smart. Let's go ahead and use Ghostly Armor. This will cost 1. Bring my block up by 2, giving me the chance to have another round. Otherwise, I'll be in big trouble. Now, in terms of the rest of what I have, it gets a little bit tough here. I think what I might do is go ahead and use Spot Weakness, seeing as I rolled that 1. That's going to allow me to get some strength going for myself. So we'll go ahead and drop myself by 1 and grab a token to place next to me because finally I'm gaining some strength, making my attacks a little bit better this time around. And then we're going to go ahead, knowing that we have the vulnerable token on the Taskmaster, we're going to make the best use of it. I wish I could have got my other strength card out of my hand right now, but I just don't have enough energy to do that. But this strike will do the job for 2 plus the 1 is 3, not bad. And again, because of the fact it's vulnerable, it'll be taking 6 damage. Last but not least, I'm playing Anger for 0 cost, and that's going to drop its health down to 5, which is pretty close, but not close enough. This card is now going to go on top of the draw pile. We're also going to go ahead and remove that vulnerable token as we made use of it, and now this enemy is going to go. It's going to be throwing 4 damage at me, and then it's going to be strengthening on top of it, which is not fun, making the next turn even more terrifying. If I don't take it out, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be gone. So first off, 4 coming towards me, I block 2, so 2 coming through, I am down to just 2 health. All right, my friends, this is going to be a very crucial round to play. Let's see how things go. So we're drawing up what we have here in our draw pile. We know this one already. So anger, we have defend, and now I'm going to go ahead and shuffle this deck, and we will just draw 3 more cards and hope for the best. So this is going to be wild, because really what comes out of this last 3 cards could really tell the tale as to whether or not I can survive this. So giving it a nice, good shuffle, mixing the cards up really nice. Let's go ahead and drop this draw pile down, and just so you know, I'm not stacking anything, as I never do. We'll just split the deck right in half, and let's see what we get. We got ourselves double tap. I'm going to be happy with that. Perfected strike. That's a nice one to have. And heavy blade. Let's go ahead and roll the die, find out what we get. What can we add to the equation? A 3. That's going to be a whole lot of nothing. A very thematic card to use right now. We're going to go ahead with Heavy Blade for 2 energy. This is going to be 3 damage, plus, because we have the strength token, this adds plus 5 damage to this card instead of plus 1. So now we're doing 8, way more than enough. This Elite Taskmaster is gone. That was extremely close to being a defeat right there. We just barely managed to get out alive. Now we get the wonderful +1 heal for the dashboard itself, bumping me up from 2, which is very, very close to death, to 3. And then on top of it, thanks to you guys in the past providing me with the Black Blood card, I get an end of combat heal of 2, which brings me from 3 to 5. So we're at half health now, which is pretty good. Now let's get our rewards from the Taskmaster. So we got ourselves 2 gold, which is great. So we'll add this to the one we already have. Next, we gain a relic if we want it, and we got ourselves Molten Egg. This one says when you add an attack to your deck, upgrade it, use this 3 times. You track it with a cube along the bottom of the card, then you discard it. This is actually an awesome card. I think what I'm going to do, because I can only hold 3 relics at a time, and I've got the Ice Cream Relic, Ninja Scroll, and Dead Branch. I'm definitely using Ninja Scroll and Dead Branch quite often. I'm not using Ice Cream as much as I thought I would, so I'm going to let this one go, and we're going to take this one instead. The final reward on the Taskmaster is a card reward upgrade. You can see it is a card reward, but it has the arrow symbolizing the fact it's going to be upgraded. So you take a look at the 3 card rewards. You can choose one if you wish, but you're also going to want to flip it over and check the upgraded side, because when you pick one of these cards, if you choose to, it's going to be automatically upgraded when it goes into your deck. Now, just so you guys can actually see what the upgraded side is for each of the cards, I'm upgrading all 3 of them right now while I select one of them, and then they'll be reverted back for the other 2 I don't select. But these are some pretty cool ones. We got Feel No Pain, Battle Trance, and Rupture. So this one, it says whenever you exhaust a card, you're going to gain a block. That could be really handy, seeing as I don't really have too much on the defense side and probably could use something. Battle Trance is all about drawing cards, so pretty solid there. And that actually could help me to find the cards I need in my deck, as my deck is getting larger and I haven't had a chance to remove some cards in a little bit. And then Rupture here allows me to gain a strength for nothing, which is huge because that taps into some of the synergies I have in my deck, but I have to lose HP, and that's not something that is overly great at this moment. So it might be Feel No Pain is probably the one I should be leaning towards. So Feel No Pain, the upgraded side in my deck. The other 2 reverted to the regular side and placed to the bottom of the card rewards deck, as I didn't select those 2. Now moving on, the only path I have to go for right now is to go straight up to the merchant, which sounds good to me. I don't have a lot of money, but we'll see what we can pick up. Let's see what's in store at the merchant. Here are the options at the merchant. I'm not looking for one of the relics up top, although some of these are actually really cool. I just don't have the coins to pick them up. I only have 3, so I can't even go after any of these. I can go after the potions, but I'm happy with the Entropic Brew, Purity Potion, and Ancient Potion that I have. I want to keep those for the boss battle. The card removal service, I could do that, but it's tempting over here because I got some cards. These ones would cost 3 apiece, which would be enough because I have 3 coins. So these are kind of cool. This one gives me defense to any player, but it throws a dazed condition in my deck. This one's fire breathing. Whenever you draw one of these conditions or curse, you deal 2 damage to any roll, but the one I'm eyeing is actually the cheapest one. For just 2 coins, I can throw this in my deck for 0 cost and give me a strength. It says you lose that strength at the end of the turn, but at least that can potentially pair with something, and I have a few cards that can benefit from strength, so I'm going to go after this for 2. It's also worth noting I forgot to remove the strength token. Doesn't have any gameplay impact from my playmat when the combat ended just moments ago, but I've removed that now. Also, here's the 2 coins being spent for the flex card, which is now inside of my deck. I've got 1 coin remaining. We're done at the merchant, and we have a decision to make. So here's a look at the decision I have to make. I could go to the left and take this path in order to get to the event token, or I could go to the right and go to this general enemy. The fun part is either one could be good, and typically I am kind of leaning towards the right to go for the enemy, but the downside is if the enemy actually hits me a few times, it will negate the healing I get after combat or maybe wash it out, whereas the event might be a safer path, give me a few options to choose between, and maybe I can take exactly what I need. It's kind of a tough thing. The event is so random, you don't really know what you're going to run into. The other side of the general encounter with the enemy is if it actually hits me a few times so that my auto healing at the end of combat doesn't do enough to bring it back up, then I'm really basically just leveraging the campfire before the boss fight to try to get my health back up, as I'm currently at 5. So I'm not doing so great in the health department. It might not be wise to go right into another combat, but if I was probably playing this off camera, I might risk it and go for that general encounter, but I think I'm going to play it safe and go for the event. Let's go to the Act 2 event deck and find out what we have. The top card off says Old Beggar. I'll show you this one. It says we can go ahead and give, pay 2 gold to remove a card. Unfortunately, I only have 1 right now. Or leave and nothing happens. So unfortunately, like I said, there is a gamble there with those events. You may not always get what you need in order to get any kind of benefit out of it. In this case, I got nothing. So we'll continue on up, we'll head to the campfire, and of course here I have a decision to make as to whether I want to heal or I want to upgrade a card, and being that I'm in a situation with just 5 health, it makes sense to heal. We'll bump ourselves from 5 up to 8 because we have a boss fight to prepare for. And the boss we're going to be dealing with is the Champ. It's going to be coming in with 40 HP. But it's not going to be that easy because he is the champ. He's got 40 HP to take him to 0, but once you hit 0, he's going to get mad, and he's going to heal 40 HP per player, and then the cube is going to stop going through the top 3 spaces, and it's going to go down to Fury mode and go through those. So it's got 2 separate sections, and we don't enter this bottom section until we head into Fury mode. Let's get into this Act 2 boss fight. We got 3 energy and 0 block. Let's drop our 5 cards and see what we have to start things off. Seeing Red, not a bad one to get from the start. We got Bash, that's also a good one to have. Blood for Blood, not a good one to have if we haven't already been hit. And we got Defend, and then finally another Defend. Let's go ahead and roll the die and find out what we get off this. We got ourselves a Cockdial, roll it one more time. We got a 2, that is not going to help us in any way. This guy does not mess around. His first cube is in a position to hit me for 4 right out of the gates, and only have 2 defend cards in my hands. This is not looking good. We're going to go ahead and do Seeing Red. I always like this one because it's going to get cards in the exhaust pile that I can use for other synergies in my deck later on. So we're going to go ahead and spend 1 in order to gain 2, back up to 4. This is going to get exhausted. That will give me some options. Now the question here is, do I go crazy with, I can't really do... This is going to be a tough battle. I got a funny feeling this could be where I go south. We'll see what we can pull off, though. I do need to do some type of defending here, so that would cost 2 to get 2 block, which would kind of partially block half of his attack. And maybe I could set myself up for a big hit later on. So maybe what I'll do is I'll do Bash. This will allow me to do a 2 hit. So we're at 40 right now, so we'll drop to 38 for the boss. And it's going to put a vulnerable token on it. That also cost us 2 energy, so we dropped ourselves down, and even though I had this Blood for Blood, which is pretty awesome, I'd have to spend 3 energy just to get 4 hits, which would have been awesome. If I had 1 more energy, if I had 5 going into this round, Bash and Blood for Blood would have been a great combination to use, because I could have gotten this Bash for 2, and this would have turned into a double, which would end up being 8, which would have been fantastic thanks to the vulnerable token, but unfortunately that's not going to work out, so let's focus on the defense. We'll go ahead and place 2 defense down to cough up my last 2 energy and to bump up my block by 2. My hand of cards been discarded, and the champ is going to hit me for 4, as it states right next to its cube. 4 hits coming at me. I used my 2 block, and then I just took 2 damage, so I dropped myself from 8 down to 6. And at this point, we're going to move the cube action. It's going to be doing something else later on. It'll be weakening me and then strengthening itself. All right, let's see what we get off the top for this round of play. We got ourselves Rage. We got Inflame, Strike, Spot Weakness, and finally Seeing Red yet again. That's not bad. Let's see what we get for the die roll. Please give me something. 6, not bad. Okay, so here's the question. Do I want to get a block? Do I want to throw 4 damage on him? Or do I want to put another vulnerable token on him? I'm going to choose to use a Stone Calendar to deal 4 damage. It does not get doubled by the vulnerable token, and this token does not disappear. It has no impact with that token whatsoever, because the only way you double damage for vulnerable is if it has the hit icon, the sword icon. It's part of an attack. So just choosing to use a die relic like this that deals 4 damage is just a straight 4 damage, so dropping it from 38 down to 34. Now I have a Seeing Red card in my hand that I could use to get myself an extra energy, but I won't be able to make use of that extra energy this turn, and also it will benefit me by being in the exhaust pile for cards that have synergies with how many cards are in that area, but I want to keep it for a moment when I actually need some additional energy, so I'll hold on to that for later. For now, what I'm going to do is, and it's kind of funny because I got the Rage card too that gives me a block for every attack card in my hand. Again, not a useful card to have right now, so what we'll do, and even Spot Weakness is useless right now because we rolled a 6, so I can't get any strength off that one, but I have 2 other cards I can use to use up the rest of my energy. So first off, we can go ahead and use Inflame. This is a power, so it stays in play. It's not going to go away. So I'm just going to go ahead and place this down here. This is going to give me a strength token, so we'll go ahead and place one nearby. Not bad, cost 2. And then that's going to make my next attack, which is going to use the vulnerable token, unfortunately, just a little bit more useful, but still not a great one. And the other question I could, actually, you know what, now I'm thinking about it, I could hold off and not do the attack here. Do I wait? Do I not wait? I probably should just push. I probably don't have the time to wait. So let's go ahead and do a strike. That's going to be another one here. So 2, vulnerable token will make it 4. The champ is now going to go. It's going to throw a weakness token on me, which is not fun. And then it's going to gain itself a strength token. The next time it's going to activate, it's not going to be fun. It's going to be throwing a 5-hit attack against me and then putting 3 block on itself. Not good. We're set up for another round here. 3 energy. Let's go ahead and draw our cards. We got ourselves a Defend. We have a Pummel Strike. I like that one. We got Feel No Pain. That's a good time to get that for sure. We got Double Tap. And what else we have here? Ghostly Armor. Nice. Let's roll our die and see if it's with us. Do we get something beneficial? We got a 2. That's absolutely nothing. Now, somehow during the last attack I did in the prior round, I took away the strength token that I had here, so I placed that back in there. Again, that came from the Inflame, so no gameplay impact. Just want to mention that for some reason that got scooped up when I had moved things around. We're now going into this turn. I'm going to use Feel No Pain right at the gates. Costs nothing for energy. This is going to allow me, whenever I exhaust a card, to get a block. So nice thing to have. It's a power card, so it's going to be one of these cards that sits around here and will be used as I go forward. Next, I'm going to go ahead and use Pummel Strike. This is going to cost 1 energy, allowing me to do 2 damage. And of course, it's going to be 3 with this, but it's -1 because of the Weaken. So it basically cancels itself out. The Weaken is removed, so it basically negates the bonus we would have gotten from the strength token, but 2 still gets through, which drops the enemy down to 28. I'm going to drop 2 cards, see what we get in hand. We got Flex. Oh, that's a great card to get right now, and Strike. We are 100% using Flex right at the gate to add another strength token to the pool we have. But now we need to change our focus to the defensive side of the equation because we're going to be hit for 5 based on the roll it's going to activate next, plus the strength, which will be 6. That is a lot. We're going to need some defense here, and I don't even know if I have enough to keep the massive smack from happening, but let's see what we can get. Ghostly Armor for 1. That's going to be 2, so we'll bump our block up by 2, and then I have enough to use a Defend here for the last one to get me up to 3. That is only going to be able to block half of what the champ is throwing at me. So the champ is coming at me with 6. I'm blocking 3, and that means 3 hits. 1, 2, 3. It is not looking good for me right now. And this cube is going to go back to the top again because we are not going to move to this second section until this champ becomes angry. We still need to get this champ down to 0 HP. I am not liking the looks of this. It's looking like we're going to be in a tough spot here. Let's continue on. So we've reset for another round here. Let's go ahead and draw our cards up. We got ourselves Burning Pack. We got Perfected Strike. We got Sentinel. We have Heavy Blade. And finally, Strike. So we know that the champ's going to throw 4 damage at us plus the strength, so 5, and we only have 3 HP, so we really need to get some defense going here, which is kind of scary because I don't have exactly what I need, which is not good. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use, this could work out pretty good. Let's use Burning Pact, and this is going to allow me to use 1 energy, so exhaust 1 card from my hand, which is good. We're probably not going to focus too much on fighting this turn around. We're going to end up using 1 for that one and probably 1 for this and 1 for that. So we probably won't have enough to use. Oh, Heavy Blade would be great. I have Heavy Blade in hand and that hurts me just not to be able to use that. So let's get rid of Perfected Strike. This is going to exhaust this one, which is painful as well. Do I really want to do that? Probably not. Ugh. This is brutal. I'm going to probably go with... Let's go ahead and exhaust the Strike card. I think that makes sense. And that's going to allow me to gain 1 block thanks to this card right here, Feel No Pain. Whenever you exhaust a card, you get a block. So I got 1 just from exhausting this. We get to draw 2 cards up. Let's see what we get. We got Strike and Anger. So we'll go ahead and use Anger right at the gates. It goes right on top of the draw pile, and that's going to do 1 damage, but it's 1 hit plus the 2, so it ends up being 3, pretty solid. So 8 down to 5, so we got 25 health left in the champ. This champ is not easy to take out. Now I need to make sure I bump up my defense, and I can tell you right now this pains me because there was another way I could have played my hand which would have been really strong in terms of defense and attack, but again, knowing that I could get taken out right now, I have to play it this one way. So this is the one I'm talking about. It's Sentinel, so for 1, it's going to allow me to give me 2 block, which is what I want, but you can see here if I chose to have Sentinel be the one that was exhausted earlier, I would have gained 2 for energy, which would have allowed me to pull off cards like the Heavy Blade and other things I had in my hand, but again, I can't focus on attack if I'm going to be sliced in half in the future. So I really wanted to focus on getting the block up. We got ourselves up to 3, which is good, not great. At this point, I feel like I'm just throwing rocks at the champ, so we're going to go ahead and do a strike, a regular 2-hit, but it's going to be increased by these, so it's going to end up being 4, which isn't too bad. So it's going to drop to 21 HP still to go. The champ is going to come swinging at me with 4 right here, plus 1, so 5, and I'm going to block 3 of it, so 2 getting through, putting me right on the razor's edge of death. The champ's cube moves down, and we're going to reset for another round, so we got 3 energy. Now, it's not going to be attacking me this time around, so it will keep me alive for at least 2 more rounds. This round and the next one, we'll see how this goes overall, so we're going to drop some cards. We're going to have to shuffle the deck because we're running out. So we got 1 here, which is Anger. We knew that was on top already, and we got Strikes. Let's go ahead and shuffle this deck up. Now, I have some other cards in hand I could use. The Purity Potion, the Entropic Brew, the Ancient Potion, those things are beneficial at certain times, but they haven't really cropped up yet. I could have used it to remove the weakness earlier, but it was such a minor thing. I'd rather get rid of like a vulnerable token, for instance. That's kind of what I was waiting for with that one. I've got Dead Branch, allowing me to draw some cards if things get really sticky, which they are right now. Basically, based on how many cards I have in my exhaust pile, Dead Branch could get me some draw, which is not bad, but I am in a bad spot. I don't think I have the stamina right now in terms of health due to the pain and suffering that I took from the Elite to be able to handle the champ in this situation. I can't even get to the 40 HP in the first place. Let's drop these last few cards and see what we get. So we got 2 already. This is the 3rd, Defend, Spot Weakness, and we have Strike. That is a very weak hand of very basic cards, and we got a 6, which allows us to choose something. I probably should choose Block. False. I will not be choosing Block as we're not getting attacked for anything. I'd rather use Stone Calendar to deal 4 damage. So we're going to go ahead and drop this individual from 21 down to 17. We'll go ahead and use Anger yet again. For no cost, it's going to be 1 hit plus 2 is 3. So it's going to drop it down to 14. So we got 14 left. This is going to go on top of the draw pile. Now, I can't use Spot Weakness at this point in time because 1, 2, or 3 was not rolled, but I can use the rest of the cards in my hand. We got a Strike, which is going to be 3 damage. We have another Strike, 3 damage, and then we have 1 block being added. So we'll add a block. Doesn't really do much for us anyway. Didn't really need to do that, but I'm doing it anyway. 6 damage, pretty solid. So the champ has been reduced down to 8 HP. We're getting close for that first phase of the boss to be dealt with. We're now going to be thrown a weakness token for our next attack, which isn't good, and this enemy is going to be increasing its strength, and its cube is going to move down, which the next hit is going to be massive. It'll be a 7-hit attack. I don't even know if I have the defense possible to generate enough to block this, so I think I'm going to be in big trouble for this upcoming round. Let's go ahead and reset things, and we'll drop and see what we get. We got ourselves an Anger, of course. We got Heavy Blade, a nice one to have right now. Perfected Strike. We got Bash, and lastly, Burning Pact. Now, what's terrifying about going into this round with the hand of cards I have is I got some cool combinations I can pull off, but the focus has to be around getting this champ down to 0 because you can see the second we do, we immediately heal 40 on it, and then it's going to enter Fury mode right away. You move the cube now, so I could actually move it from where it's at to here before it actually has a chance to activate and use that massive hit against me. So I need to do everything possible to get 8 damage on this thing to prevent me from taking a hit I know I can't defend. Let's go ahead and roll the die and find out what we get. Hopefully something beneficial. 2. No, that is not going to help me. What I'm going to do is use Dead Branch because I do have a couple cards inside my exhaust area. Now, I could go ahead if I wanted to and use Burning Pact in order to exhaust a card and put it in here. Of course, that would help me with the Dead Branch to increase how many cards I can draw up. But the downside is if I play this right now to exhaust a card from my hand in here, yes, it will help me with the draw, but it takes away an energy, and I need all the energy I can get based on what I'm trying to pull off. So I'm going to hold off on using that. Instead, we'll just go right for the Dead Branch and hope we get to see something beneficial come off the top. We get 2 cards because we have 2 in the exhaust pile right now. We got Seeing Red. That is definitely something I can make use of, and Defend, which is kind of basic, but I like the Seeing Red. So I'm absolutely going to take advantage of that. We're going to place that in play, going down by 1 and then back up by 2. So we have 4 now for energy, and this is exhausted. When this becomes exhausted, I gain a block, although it's not going to matter as much because I'm trying to push this thing into Fury mode. Next, I'm going to use Bash. This is going to do a 2 damage attack and throw a vulnerable token on it, which actually is pretty good, I think. May not be the best time for this, but it still could work. So it's 2, 3, 4, and then -1. So it's just going to be 3 damage getting through. So we'll drop it down to 5, but it does have the vulnerable token on it now, which will help the next hit against it. So we'll go ahead and put this off to the side for now. This weak token is no longer a part of the equation, so that's good. We have to drop our energy down by 2. Next, I'm going to go ahead and use Anger because this one is free. It's 1, 2, 3, and we're going to double it for 6, which is going to be more than enough to get this thing down to 0. So we've done exactly what we need to do, and we still have 2 energy left. That's perfect. So we're going to go ahead and move this down to this Fury mode area, and then this is going to reset completely back to 40, which is really unfortunate, but we have a whole other phase of this boss to get through. We also need to remove the vulnerable token as we just took advantage of it, so it is gone. And now we can start putting damage against the champ. We do have the ability, and this is where it's awesome, because it says right here, remove all weakness, vulnerability tokens from the champ. There aren't currently any anyway. I just used one when I transitioned it, so it wasn't there in the first place. But you would, at this point, remove any that linger and remain. But he's not going to attack me this time, which is huge, and it gives me the ability, thanks to seeing red, to be able to do a heavy blade attack for 2 energy, which is going to be 3, and then I get +5 for each of these, so that's a total of 13 damage right there. It's pretty cruel because this game is making me feel like I might have a shot at this, even though I have literally the smallest amount of HP possible. I do have the Ninja Scroll, which would be very handy because if I use it right now, it's going to do 3 and 3, which is good, but I'll hold on to this for now off to the side because I know I can go at least one more round and use it. Maybe if I can bump up my strength even more, I can maximize that scroll later. Now at this point, we're going to activate the champ. It's going to go ahead and do its removal of all weakness and vulnerable tokens from the champ. So hopefully earlier when I talked about the fact the cube was moving, I didn't make it seem like I was activating anything at that time. I happen to have a vulnerable token already on it, which I use as part of the attack to be able to get it to 0. But once it's at 0, it simply just moves the cube from the top section to the top of the bottom section in the Fury mode area. But nothing activates at that point in time. It's simply just a cube move. Now at this point, the cube's going to move down to the next position, which will be a 4-hit and another separate 4-hit. Both of these will turn into 6 and 6, which is pretty brutal thanks to the strength tokens already on the champ, so it's not looking good for me. Energy and block's been reset. Let's go ahead and draw our 3 cards, or I should say 5 cards, and see what we get. Anger, Ghostly Armor, we certainly need armor, Defend, Pummel Strike, and finally, Blood for Blood. Let's roll the die and hope for the best. I'm really hoping for this pen nib. That would be great. And we didn't get it, but we got a 6, and a 6 is actually even better because I can use the vulnerable token, and I'm definitely going to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and play Blood for Blood. This 3-cost card is going to only cost 1 because I have lost HP this combat. It's going to be 4, 5, 6, and then it's going to be doubled thanks to the vulnerable tokens. So that's a total of 12 damage for just 1 energy. This is pretty wild. Let's go ahead and use Pummel Strike. I think this is a pretty solid one to use right now. We're going to go ahead and spend 1 energy in order to do a 2 damage attack, which ends up being a 4 damage attack. So that will drop it down to 11. We get to draw 2 cards. Come on, give me something good. Flex, that's good. And Sentinel. We're certainly going to go ahead and play Flex right now. That's going to allow me to gain another Strength, which is going to boost things up. I lose this at the end of the turn, though, so I have to keep that in mind. So we only get to keep this for 1 turn, but we're only going to last 1 turn anyway, so it doesn't matter much. And then at this point, let me think about this. So Anger is probably the next one I'll use because it costs nothing. This is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, this vulnerable token was already used, so this should be gone. So it's going to be 4 damage. That's going to drop it from 11 down to 7. This is insane. This is actually possible now. I think I've actually pulled it off. We're going to go ahead now with the Ninja Scroll, the last thing I have that can do any kind of damage whatsoever. This is going to be treated as 2 separate hits as separate 0-cost attacks. So it's going to be 1, which will end up being 4, 1, which ends up being 4. That's going to be a total of 8. That is enough to wipe out the champ with a single HP remaining. That was an extremely exciting battle to capture on camera for you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I really honestly did not think I was going to be able to pull that off in any way, shape, or form, but somehow the combination of cards we had available was able to throw tons of damage against the boss. The champ goes down in Act number 2, and at this point you take your rewards as depicted in the top left-hand corner and begin your transition to Act number 3. At this point, the showcase is going to end for Slay the Spire, the board game, a fantastic solo game that landed in the number 3 spot from the Rolling Solo board game community last year. I really hope you enjoyed the coverage of this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below, and also let me know how well you're doing overall in your plays of Slay the Spire. Thank you so much, and as always, keep on rolling solo.